people think having lots of money is success, then you definitely don't know what you're talking about. It's not about money. Because money is an energy, right? It's an energy for the value you put in something. It's your energy. You are the money. People haven't realised by now. Because they're dangling a carrot for you to work and build stuff and create their systems. And then they go, here you go. Here's a piece of paper that says, we'll promise to give you something, but we're not going to give it to you if you come into the bank and say, can I get the £5 worth of gold that you say that you've got for me in this promissory note? And then they're like, and so people think, oh yeah, I've got lots of money, but you've got lots of money of nothing.
Yeah.
Because you can't go to a bank and say, can I get the weight that this is meant to be worth? I'll get it.
Let me add something. The faces on that money are white faces. The moment that you start like valuing and cherishing and chasing money, right? What you're basically saying is that you worship white people. Subconsciously, because you are chasing white faces, which ultimately mean nothing. The leeches, bloodsuckers, vampires, because it's a transfer of energy, right? Which feeds them, not you. You gotta be careful about how you're really seeing it, because it's a war, and this is why it's so imperative to remain humble and know that you are where the other person is, no matter how far you get.
Don't create that saviour and ego complex.
Right. Do you know what's interesting? For all the people that would argue that and say, well, what about if you're like on the African continent, the face is maybe black? Yeah. One thing I will say is the value of their money versus the value of the, like sterling, no matter how much it's depreciated, it's still one of the highest valued. The US dollar is still one of the highest value. So even if we do look at and say, oh, but what about people that are chasing black faces on paper? The value of that paper is nowhere near worth what the GBP is. Nowhere near what the US dollar is.
You're touching on something really powerful, because who set that value in this market world?
Exactly.
When there's loads more people in China, there's loads more people in Africa, but they didn't set the value. Because if you think about if what money is, it's basically a receipt for your energy or work that you've done, and they're saying, hey, this is nice, well done.
Spiritual warfare within itself.
It's a dangling carrot.
Financial
basically.
warfare.
And so it's like, there's more people in these countries, so realistically, logically, there should be more wealth in these countries. But they set the value. So that tells you this stuff ain't real.
They set the value, they set the value, and it's like, they know that the real value is in the soil of Africa. It's got nothing to do with money.
Yeah.
So while they're not secretly, but
while
they're secretly raping the shit out of the earth, they've got you valuing notes with their face on it, governed by them. So, as I said, who do you worship? What you're doing is you're chasing white people, because that's who's on the face. Those are the faces on the money. So, you get what I mean? Slave masters. You're running after your slave master and losing your energy in the process.
I was gonna say, no. When we look at currency, I'm always like, currency is an energy outside of us. That's why you can sleep and money can still run.
Yeah, you can make
because it's entirely outside of our energy, who we are. But then again, when you think of like money and the actual value of things, they're two separate. Like if we were talking about apples and pears, that's a complete different value to the currency. I'm not saying currency doesn't hold value in terms of the matrix. But if we're talking about, if we were looking at the soil and what it provides for us, life and all that, that's real value. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Well, this is what I'm saying. So when people are saying money and currency is different, what is your currency? Because currency is a current is a flow of energy. So if we're dealing with currency,
which is why it's always changing. Currency never stays the same.
It goes.
It fluctuates and it goes up.
And for success to be deemed as the gains that you get materialistically, or like the house, the car and stuff, it goes to show you more about who you are, because it's that what you claim to be success.
Look
Because
at
that don't
trading.
mean shit,
Remember,
really.
trading, you've got to watch how currency works because it can dip, it can rise, it can dip, it can rise, which is the whole thing about currency.
And
that's why you have to pick your points as to when and why you do it.
And also, who's the main source that benefits when you trade?
That's it.
So this is why you gotta stay humble.
Yeah.
Because really, the game that you play is
Playing
theirs,
you.
and it's playing you. Ultimately, it's playing you. You gotta
Yeah.
stay humble.